Alright, I haven't done makeup in a few days, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do some makeup, and we're gonna get a life update on why I've been absent this week, because shit sucks. No, first things first, I started my period. So if you're a guy and you don't want to hear about this, I don't know why you're here, because this is a makeup channel. But this is your warning to exit now. So I started my period this week, right? And I have recently discovered, well, I've always known, but I've recently discovered a name for this abnormal, like, rage that I have after my period, where, like, I just completely lose my shit, and I don't know what the problem is, and I don't know why it's like this, and I always think, oh, you can control this, and you can just not be this way, and I'm like, haha, that's not accurate. And at first I thought, okay, maybe this is just something because, you know, my hormones are all out of whack, and I have bipolar disorder and BPD. I was like, maybe it's just that, and I can learn to control it or whatnot. Turns out there's a name for it, and I think it's like PMDD or some shit like that, and it's that's what it is. So I have been working on that lately, and I have made it thus far. My period is almost over, and I have made it this far without wanting to off myself or screaming at people for no sane reason other than that I'm fucking sad. So that's good news. That's good news. I found out yesterday that my favorite aunt and uncle passed away within 3 hours of each other. Now, for those of you that don't know, I am almost 40. I'm 38. I am adopted. My adoptive parents, my parents, really, are in their 80s. And my dad is the youngest of his siblings. So, you know, he's 85. So my uncle was, I think, like 88 or something like that. But he was still in good spirits. Like, he was healthy. He was doing good in life. But his wife, my aunt, she had dementia, and it ultimately it took her life. That is what she died of. And they said that he just gave up after that, and within 3 hours had a massive heart attack, and he followed her to heaven. He followed her into the light. And while some people will think that's really sweet, it's really sad for our family, because, you know, you're never ready. You're never ready to lose someone you love. And it also, like, for me, points out the mortality of my parents themselves, because, if you're new here, you won't know this, but my mom has dementia. So it kind of just, like, brings forth the mortality of your own parents. And, you know, my dad, he's in great health and, like, you know, does his thing, but he also has a heart condition, and, he just had a knee replacement, and, like, you know, you always think they're in such great health and everything looks good, because my dad is, I always used to say when I was younger that my dad is the type of person that we won't know he's dying till he's dead, because he will never, ever let anyone think that he can't handle something, because he still thinks he's, you know, 20 years old and can run around and do all the things he's done before, and, you know, he thinks he's Thanos or something, and he just,
bullshit.
anyway, so, like, you know, it's just, you don't realize the mortality of your family until members of it start dying off. And unfortunately for me, I am the youngest all the way around. Bio, step, adoptive, I'm the baby all the way around. I've already lost one half-brother to suicide. And that was the only other sibling I had on my biological father's side. So he's gone. Took his own life. And, you know, my dad said, you know, he came back from the military and he was never just himself. He was never quite the same after being in involved in the war and whatnot. And that does happen, and it is unfortunately a reality that many American soldiers face, and they usually aren't ever the same after going, you know, overseas and basically being told that it's their life or yours. And it's just, you know, and some of those kids fighting in the war on their side are kids. And I think that that goes overlooked a lot in these situations. They are literal children that were basically forced to do this, and they didn't choose to do that. And I just think that was really hard and just never sat well with my half-brother. I didn't know him, but from what I understand, he was a very kind person, gentle person. And he just never recovered from the tour he did in Afghanistan. And I have a half sister. We don't really speak, and that is by her own choice, because she is like weirdly obsessed with my life. And when I say this, I don't say it lightly, because I've never been the kind of person who would say shit like that lightly. Yeah, she is like obsessed with my marriage and my life, and like claiming it as her own. Like, she had amazing parents. Like, I have met her adopted parents, and they were amazing people. And I am so disappointed in her for how she treats them and the way she talks about them, because like they would have done anything for that girl, and she just treated them like shit. And now she wants to talk, you know, all this sweet shit about her dad, because her dad is passed, may he rest in peace. And I'm like, where was that when he was alive? Because you were an absolute asshole to him and to your mom, and she's still a fucking twat bucket to her mom. But what do I know? You know, what do I know? Anyway, that being said, so I have just been in my emotions lately. To continue on this sad topic, I have been, for some reason, really struggling with the death of my best friend's mom. And I'm going to tell you a story about why. I'm going to tell you a story about her. Basically, a story about my life. When I was 14, when I was 13, we moved into this kind of like melting pot neighborhood. And it was just people of all different ethnicities and whatnot. And my best friend's mom was Australian, as were her children, because they were all born there. And she got transferred here for work. Ended up leaving that job though and starting her own business, and did very well for herself. Like, she did really well for herself. And when I was 14, between the ages of 14 and 18, I was just going through some really rough shit. Without getting into the details, because I don't really like to talk about that part of my life in detail, I have a brother, and his issues are big ones. He is schizophrenic, refused to take medication, didn't believe he actually had a problem. He's also adopted from a different family. We are not siblings by blood. But he was adopted before me. Anyway, not the person of interest in this storyline. Anyway, and I just had a very traumatic childhood. And I didn't realize that I had a very traumatic childhood until I was almost 30, because like I was conditioned to believe that this was like normal, but we weren't supposed to talk about it. So of course I had nothing to compare it to, because I wasn't allowed to tell anybody about what was going on. Now, my parents were not abusive people. They were not mean people. They did everything in their power for him and me. And I give them all the credit in the fucking world for that, because that boy. And I mean, I wasn't an easy child. Like, I started realizing that the only way I was going to get attention was if I started acting out and misbehaving in like school and stuff. So of course I did that, because like that's what got my brother attention. Anyway, by the time he was out of the house, my sister then had her first child, and reality is that there wasn't a lot of attention for me as a kid. And that is the thing that gets me when people hear I'm the youngest, because they'll be like, oh my god, I bet you got all the attention. There were no rules. There were no rules because nobody was paying attention to me. Okay? I could do whatever the fuck I wanted, and nobody said anything about it because nobody had the time to notice that I was doing it. So it's not all fun and games like people think it is sometimes, being the youngest. And don't get me wrong, for some people that really is the fucking life. Like, being the youngest is like your gateway to freedom at an early age, because your parents are too tired by then to really give a shit what you're doing. But in my case, it was just that nobody had time to focus on me because they were so busy trying to figure out how they could help my brother. And the reality is that you couldn't help him because he didn't want to be helped, because he didn't think anything was wrong with him. But anyway, he went to this special school for problem children. Literally, it's like sleepaway camp for juvie, for juvenile delinquents, basically. And I would spend those weekends at my other friend's house. And I want to make this very clear, the friend is not to blame for anything that happened to me, and I'm not going to get into the details because this is YouTube, and I know that kids watch these makeup tutorials, so I am not going to get into like the hardcore details, but just know there was some bad shit that happened, and it really took a toll on me. Well, the lovely woman who lived up the street from this other girl's house, she did her best. She tried to protect me and do as much as she could, but my parents, being extremely Catholic and Puritan, did not like that she was a single mom. Well, because she didn't talk about it, my parents had no idea that she was not a single mom by choice. Like, it wasn't divorce. Her husband had died. So she was a single mom because she had to be. And they didn't like me hanging out over there because they were afraid she was going to give me, like, I don't know, like, I was going to become, like, some promiscuous bitch or something by hanging out with a single mom. And she was nothing like that. She was a great person. And, she loved her children. And she would have done anything for her kids and for me. And she did. In so many ways, she tried. Hold on, sorry, this is kind of hard to do and talk at the same time. They're supposed to look like leaves in case you can't see it, because whatever. Anyway, so I was really close to her when I was younger, and she really was there for me when I needed somebody, and I felt like I didn't have anybody. And she was an amazing person. Anyway, she ended up getting cancer, which is weird. And no, it wasn't because she was like a smoker or anything. It just was an unfortunate thing that happened, and they didn't catch it in time. Or, I mean, they caught it in time. So she went into remission about 6 months before COVID actually hit. And unfortunately, her body was just too weak to take on the illness when she caught it. And it ended up taking her life. And I'm trying not to cry because I just did all this makeup. So bear with me. But in many ways, she was like another mother to me. Like, I had a great mom. I had an amazing childhood, aside from the issues with my brother. I had a great mom. I really did. My mom would have done anything for me, would still do anything for me to this day, and has on many an occasion helped me and my wife and my kiddo out. And I will always give her all the credit in the world for that. But this person was like a second mom to me when I was afraid to go to my parents with the things that were happening to me. And she she was my sounding board for years after that. Like, if I was going through something emotionally or in a relationship or I just wasn't in a good place, I would call her and I would talk to her about it, because that was the person that I trusted, you know, like that was my safe place. And it's okay to have that and it not be somebody in your family. Ultimately, this is why I get so upset about like anti-vaxxers arguments, because I'm like, yeah, because somebody didn't want to vaccinate their children. The person, there are 3 children and 1 sort of surrogate child, I guess, walking this earth without someone that meant the world to them because they got an illness that was preventable. And that's really unfortunate. And I'm not saying anything, and we're not turning this into politics, so don't even start in my comment section. I think we all know where I stand, and if you don't, well, then you're blind, because it's pretty fucking obvious. But we're not doing that in the comments of this video, because I am talking about deceased people, and we don't do that here. Anyway, everybody is welcome. Everybody is safe here. Politics are a no-go. So scooch on. Okay. Anyway, so recently my spouse had come to me, and I have heard of polyamory. I've heard it all. I follow thruples and foursomes and stuff on TikTok. Like, I'm not oblivious to it, and if that works for you, then more power to you. But I am a monogamous woman. I have always been a monogamous woman. I am not going to change who I am for anyone. But my wife came to me and she basically told me that she couldn't be monogamous. That's just not who she is. And I really struggled going through that, because I was like, you waited five years to tell me that you couldn't be monogamous. So it kind of felt to me like I was kind of like tricked into the marriage, and I really wasn't. I probably should have known what I was getting myself into. I knew when I got with her that she was known for being a serial cheater, and you know, she has a significantly higher body count than myself. Most people do, though, because I only have like 11 people that I've slept with in my lifetime. But she had a significantly higher body count and whatnot, and I probably should have known, but I didn't, and I thought, oh, you know, I'll change her, whatever. Anyway, she waited until, unfortunately, what happened was, last September, my soul dog, my Novocaine, my best friend when I had no one else, had a seizure, and she never came out of it. And I had no choice but to put her down, because I couldn't, in good conscience, let her suffer in the hope that she might get better. She wasn't eating. She couldn't get up and down off the sofa anymore. She wouldn't go outside and go potty. She didn't, no, she couldn't walk on her own. So I had to put her down, and it was really hard for me, because I walked into that vet clinic with my best friend and I left with empty hands. Oh good, now I'm gonna cry. But I left with nothing. I left without her, and I felt like I had let her down. For the record, I was with her till the very end. I was there when she went to sleep. I was there when they gave her the shot to put her down, to euthanize her. And I stayed with her the whole time. And my wife and my mom was there. That doesn't make it easier. I miss her all the time, because for a long time she was all I had when I felt alone. And that was really hard for me. And then right after that, we went into winter, and winter is already very difficult for me because of my bipolar, and my depression gets so much worse in the winter because I can't go out in the sun, I can't be outside as much, I can't do as much as I can during the summer because it's just such doom and gloom outside, and that's how it makes me feel inside. So that being said, that was when my wife told me that her depression was starting to take over and she just couldn't continue to live the life that she was living without telling me what she needed. And it was not ideal timing, and I did not take it well. I just feel like it probably was not the greatest time to drop that on me, having just lost my best friend. And I was quickly also happening to deal with my mom's diagnosis. And the truth is, with dementia, you watch that person die twice. You have to mourn the person that is no longer there, no longer present, who they were, and how much they meant to you. And then you watch them literally just wither away until they're gone. And it's hard. It is so hard because I was always closest to my mom. And I have just really, really, really taken this hard. So I was dealing with all of that, and I think it was February, not sure the exact time frame, because like I said, that whole like winter season was just a blur for me. Like I wanted to die. I was ready to just self-delete at any given moment because I didn't want to be doing this. I didn't want to be living with it. I didn't want to be dealing with it. The reality is, I came very close a few times to actually just taking myself out of the world because I didn't want to be here anymore. Because I didn't feel like I was beneficial to anyone being here. And I want to say this now. If you ever feel that way, please know there is somebody. There's somebody out there who needs you. And if nobody is going to tell you, then I'm telling you. You're needed, you're loved, you're wanted. Please stay. Please seek help. I'm here for anyone who needs it, and this is why I advocate so much for mental health, because there's such a fucking stigma around mental illness. And this is why people don't get the help that they need, because they're taught to not show weakness. And the reality is that everybody has feelings, everybody has emotions. Some people are better at containing them than others. Like, my wife seems like she has no emotions, but she really does. She just has learned how to internalize them, whereas I don't do that. I am very upfront and like, hey, this is me. This is what you get. I can't fucking help who I am. This is just the way it is. So please, if you are feeling that way, know that you are wanted, and the world is better because you're in it. Okay? Please, listen to me. Get the help you need, because you matter. That being said, in February, my wife, give me a second, please. I just need a second to kind of recover here. Hold on. Okay, so now that I have my emotions back in check anyway, so in February, she went to Colorado. She went to visit her grandmother because her grandmother raised her. Her grandmother is not doing well health-wise, and they thought that they might be losing her. She is still alive as far as I know. We have not received any news to say otherwise, that grandma is not alive and well. That being said, she stayed with an ex-girlfriend. And before you start in the fucking comments, I knew she was staying with the ex-girlfriend, and I regret that now. And I will tell you why. Turns out she still had feelings for this ex-girlfriend. So my wife has a girlfriend now. You wanna know who that girlfriend is? Her ex-girlfriend. That she has stated to me that she is still in love with. And all I can think is, like, why would you act actively go and try and be with someone else if you still have unresolved feelings for your fucking ex. And that's who I am as a person, because, like, if I still had feelings for my ex, who unfortunately is also deceased now, she did kill herself a few months ago. And that was really hard on me too, because, like, she was the first woman I was ever with. So she was a very important part of my life, so I did take her passing hard, but I wasn't, like, still in love with her or anything, so don't even go there. We had our run. It just did not work out. She was addicted to cocaine and an alcoholic, and it just didn't work for us. Anyway, because, like, why would you try to be with someone else knowing that you still have feelings for an ex? And that ex is actively still available. Let me blend out some of these freckles a little bit so I don't look like I just, like, threw shit water at my face, because that's kind of what it looks like. Oh my god. I did not expect this to all, like, hit in one spot. It's fine. It's fine. I don't even care. I didn't really want to do makeup today, but I need to talk about this shit, so we're here. Anyway. That being said, so I was not super, like, in love with my ex anymore. I just care about her as a person. I know her daughter is around my age. I do have a thing for older women. I don't think that's news to any of you, but if it is, here's your memo. I like older women. Anyway, that being said, she's sworn up and down that nothing happened while she was out there. I have chosen to believe that. I think, especially at that time, I was just going through too much to even want to know if something did happen, and that's, you know, that's my business. I do what I gotta do, you know, like, what am I doing? For anyone who wonders how I stick these things on my face, these gems that I'm putting on here, it is literally eyelash glue. It comes off the easiest. It does not leave permanent, like, markage. I choose to believe that, so I'm sticking by my theory on that one, and that she wouldn't mind me. And if she did, then that's something she's got to live with. Whatever. I do not want this poly bullshit. I don't want to be in it. I am really upset by the fact that I am basically trapped in a situation that I did not ask to be in, and I now don't have a way out. Because I'm not just giving up everything that I've come to love and know because some home-wrecking whore thinks she can come in and fuck up my life, and that's the way it's gonna be. My wife gets so mad, though, when I call her names and shit, and I talk shit about her, and I'm like, you know what, you don't get to be mad. You put me in this situation, and I need to be able to express how I feel in whatever way is comfortable for me. And I want that understood to other people who try to do this thing. If you are forcing someone who is normally monogamous and does not do the whole multiple partner bullshit, and you're trying to force them into doing it, it's not going to work in your favor. And eventually we're going to get tired of it, and we're gonna end up imposing some sort of ultimatum, and it's going to probably result in the end of said relationship. And if it does, then that's fine, and you need to know that, because it wasn't worth your time to begin with. If they are willing to throw you away for something good that they had for a shot in the dark that may or may not work out. And that's just kind of how I feel about it right now. Like, I mean, you can do whatever you need to do, but just know that I'm not going to sit here and take this shit forever. Like, get it out of your system, whatever. but eventually we're gonna get tired of it. And I was struggling today because the woman that I was talking about originally that passed away because of COVID, she was who I would go to whenever I needed advice or help, because she wasn't judgmental, and I'm not close to any of my sisters, and she was just not a judgy person. She very much wanted to be there for me and to show me that I deserved the same happiness that everyone else gets in their life, and that I need to not be afraid to go after what I deserve. So I just was like really, really missing her today, and just struggling internally and whatnot, because like she's not here, and I feel like I don't have anybody to talk to, because it's not like I can talk to my mom, because my mom, being the Puritan Catholic like she is, would be like, you should divorce her because what the fuck. And every one of my friends that I've tried to talk to about it is like, oh, that's not cool, and you should totally leave, and like, you're worth more than that. And I am worth more than that, and I know that. I'm not stupid, but I am testing out something to see if it is something that I could eventually be okay with. I have a strong feeling that it's probably not going to be. And that's why I say that this could probably end up being a totally different story in a couple of years, where I'm telling you about why I got divorced a second time. I don't know. I don't know. But this is a decision that I made myself to see if I could handle having a third person involved in my life. And the reality is that I don't want her involved in my life. She does not need to know anything about me. I do not care to know anything about her. I don't care if she dies. I don't fucking want to know about it. Like, this bitch has no effect on my life, or my standing, or how I'm going to feel going forward, and she could drop dead tomorrow and I probably wouldn't care. And I realize that is a horrible thing to say, but it's the truth. Like, I wish she had never existed, to be honest, because it's like, you have just torn my world up and like caused me so much upheaval, and I didn't date you. Like, you should not be a problem to me. I didn't choose to know you. I don't want to know you. I want you to go the fuck away and leave my life alone. Like, I did my fucking time, alright? And for me, it's just the fact that, like, if you know that you have feelings for an ex-girlfriend or a past relationship you feel has not resolved itself yet, don't get involved with someone else. Because that's not fair. And I am so fucking sick and tired of people saying, oh, well, it's not just you that they have to think about, blah, 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 blah. Nobody said it's just me they have to think about, but it would be nice if I would be thought about, you know, before they go and do some dumb shit like this. Like, I didn't sign up for this, so why am I in the middle of it? And it's just like, my mental health has just been shit this week. Mostly because of PMS, but also just because I am really struggling, because September is coming up and it is one of the worst months for me. Just mentally, I really struggle in September, and I am not fucking looking forward to it. Like, I would just like to, like, forego September from this point forward, if that's an option. Can I just, like, not participate in September? Can we just, like, call it quits and just not? That would be great. And if we can, where do I sign up for that? You know that song called When September, Wake Me Up When September Ends, or When September Ends, or whatever the hell it's called? That's the kind of mojo I'm having right now. where, like, I just want to skip the month of September. I don't want to participate in it. I don't want to be here for it. I just don't want to. Like, there should be a rule that, like, if you have extreme grief or whatever going on in your life, you should be allowed to, like, skip the month that is the worst for you. And that would, for me, would be September. But that's not a thing. And unfortunately, I must continue to participate in the month of September because fuck me. But I get so goddamn tired of people thinking that they can have an opinion on my life and how I'm doing things and what I'm doing because they've seen this and they know better or some bullshit craptastic malarkey ass shit they came up with. Sorry, I'm cussing a lot. I know. You can hate me later. If your kid is watching this, that's your choice. I don't know what to tell you. This is who I am. This is who I shall be. My phone keeps going off. And I have to have the sound on because my wife is at work and she works. I just have to have it on. I can't really say much about where she works, but yeah. Anyway. I don't know. Maybe I'm bitter. I am bitter. There's no maybe. I am bitter. I am bitter because I have been treated like shit, and I've done this shit before, and been treated like shit, and I just let it happen. Just let it happen because that's what I'm used to. And I'm a fucking idiot. Anyway, this was supposed to be about mental health and grief. Come here. Hey! They bark in air. I haven't worn earrings all week, and so this whole... I almost had it. That's gonna bleed because I basically just re-pierced it. That's what this is. I should probably see if they're barking though because the Amazon package is here. So give me just a second because I'm gonna go check. Okay. They were barking at our outdoor cat coming on the porch because, you know, why not? Anyway, it's really good. I don't know. I have a headache. But I almost always have headaches anymore. It's just part of getting old, I guess. This isn't going on, and I feel like messing with it right now. Missing the ring. Hold on. Oh, that's too big. There we go. Okay. Just ran out of shit to talk about. Sorry, we're almost done. Alright, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye.